stories weaving words that climb, whispered tales in a cozy nook. Welcome to the magic of every book. Bookshelf Babble, take the stage, turn the chapter, fill the page. Laughter, wisdom, stories to spare, a podcast world where books are everywhere. From paperbacks to leather spines, mysteries, thrillers, and classic lines. Stories crackle, voices ring, dive on in, it's a podcast thing. Adventures waiting just one word away, from Austen's romance to Hemingway. Gather round, it's the bookish delight, unfold the tales under podcast light. Bookshelf Babble, take the stage, turn the chapter, fill the page. Laughter, wisdom, stories to spare, a podcast world where books are everywhere. So pull a chair and bring your ear, Bookshelf Babble is right here. Through every genre, chapter and hook, we're talking life one book.
Hey, hello everyone, you're welcome in Bookshelf Babble live session. Here we talk about books and all related topics. It's like a space where we share all what we like about books and talk about like last reading, some news and some other related themes what connected to the book. And today's session it's as a regular session. I will be held on Hello Talk application, but also I am at the same time I am streaming this session on several platforms in Twitch and on YouTube at the same time, and you will be free to write your comments exactly in this platform, and I will try to read and answer on your question. If you have question, I will be glad to answer, or if you have some opinions or feedback, feel free to write the comments too, or just write the blue plus or write where you listen this stream, because it's so very important and very yeah, it's like a fuel for me to do this content every day. Okay, I think it's almost the same as start. I have just like one moment what I want to share with you. I just like to release third episode of my Bookshelf Babble podcast, and now this podcast is available on Spotify. If you're not familiar yet, just let to go to Spotify, type Bookshelf Babble, and you find podcast where I place my all episodes. It's like a primary platform where I do, and it's third episode. I just try to experiment with format, how I prepare and like to produce a podcast. It's fully generated by two like computer voice, but it will be interesting to know your opinion about this. It's interesting for you, not interesting, and what do you think? And maybe you don't like this kind of format and you want to. I am open like to record podcast by voice. Yeah, it's really very important to hear something. You can write here directly in Spotify, or write your feedback in any platform where you listen or find this podcast. It's also available on YouTube. Yeah, it's about like my news today. I like to work on this episode last several days, and I not spoil about what books is this podcast, but a book about one of the my book what I completed some several weeks ago. yeah, it's just like to this podcast is just like to share my opinion, but by generated voices. Yeah. Okay, it's my introduction for this, and I engage you listen podcast, write the comments. But now we go to Hello Talk application, and if you're not familiar, it's a platform where people around the world learn languages, and I like it because it's very simple. You can create the voice room. My voice room has named what book I am reading. You can very simple find this voice room in this. Okay, I just start and wait when someone join to us to talk about book, and maybe in the same time I share some additional information. I don't. And we just wait. Yeah, it's like to my good news for today. Okay, I just wait when someone join to us, and okay. Okay. I just need to check. Okay. Yeah, just remind, you can write the question directly in chat. I will try to answer on this question. Okay, I just adjust my mic slightly. Okay. I think it should be normal. Okay. Yeah, just wait. Okay, hello. I'm glad to hear again you, and just wait when someone join to us. I can share just like one moment. I just released last episode of Bookshelf Babble podcast, and by this link you can find this podcast on Spotify. And I just like to notice this podcast is fully generated by AI tools, and it's not my voice, but I just like to manage and create script for this podcast. And this in this episode I share my opinion about my read book, what I mentioned several times here, Haruki Murakami 1QA4. Yeah, I just like to combine some interesting facts, my opinion, and I think combine in some interesting to manner for listening. And as words, if you when you have free time, just like to find this episode and listen. I was very surprised when I tried to use this technology, and I was surprised quality of voices what I can use for generate this podcast. Yeah, I was surprised. I think it's more for English. It's some very well voice generation happen, but I not try to find other languages. Yeah, it's like to my news for today. I just released, and it's really interesting to hear your feedback about this episode. Because it's I have some question to myself. Is it interesting for anyone to listen generated podcast or not interesting? Because for myself, I'm not so very, for example, happy to read a book what generated with AI, or like a part of the book was generated. But I think it's many authors start using AI tools very often during the writing practice in current moment, and I think in next decade we have a lot of piece of art where not just the human written by human, but with using different kind of AI tools. And I'm not so very happy about this, because it's some kind of not natural for us produce this kind of art. Yeah, in this case I have some big question about another content on generating the same manner to podcast what I try to do. And now it's some kind of experiment, and maybe I change format later, maybe not. If you it will be interesting for another people. Yeah, it's about the last newses, and also I still to reading Ursula Le Guin the Earthsea series. Yeah, I'm not reading so faster because I don't have a lot of time, but I try to read some several pages or chapter during the day, and I try to do this every day to have the progress. Yeah, it's about progress and what I have now. Okay, we just wait when someone join to us here to talk. If you have question, you can type, but I think you may be some slightly busy. I have one additional news. Maybe I mentioned, I just like to repeat. I bought a new mic, and now I use this mic for to streaming, and it's some very it's much better than a mic what in my headphones, and very nice and very clear voice. Yeah, I really like it. It's not so kind of professional mic, but it's middle class of mic. And yeah, in the future I just think if you something go more, I don't know, professional or more deeper streaming and create the content, it's maybe a reason to get more high priced mic and more high quality mic. But now I just enjoy, because it's so very nice sound should be recorded. Okay. And hey, hello. You're welcome. Okay, she just like to leave. Okay, we wait when someone join to us. Yeah, thank you for this gift. I really like it. I just like to wait when someone join, because sometimes it's complicated to talk every time. Yeah, I just like to wait when someone join and okay. Yeah, if you have some question, you can just ask, because I try to do so many things at the same time. I recognize one thing when I like to publish podcasts on Spotify, and especially no one to listen it. In other words, it's Spotify itself not like to promote some of your content what you share, and it's mean you should be do a lot of stuff to marketing your your product or your podcast to attract the people attention. In other words, it's not possible to do you just publish it and like 100 people like just started listen, and it's even not started listen because they just try to what is it. It's mean it's not appear anywhere, and people just should be like to reach this page, this podcast by some link, and this it's not happen if you not do this like some kind of promotion. It's mean you should be post anyway in some social platform, in chats and groups where you talking, and just like to promote and like to and try to sell this product. I was like to surprised and sad about this, because I have some expectation when you create some kind of content, when you publish this something, and you expect some many people join and just like to leave some kind of feedback, but in reality it's not happen without any advertisement. And I understand some popular content creators, they were often just buy like to ads in some platform to push their content forward. Yeah, and just some very often they spend some money to attract the people, and I understand why exists some kind of practice to buy the traffic, and when there's some kind of bots or some kind of, or maybe real user just like to go to your page and create traffic, and it's helped to appear in maybe more top on search result. Yeah, it's my like experience with this, and but in reality I not want to be like some very like popular or something like famous. It's not my target. My target just like to practice, to create, and some different aspect related to create the content, like to create picture, create the interesting like to video content when I'm streaming, create like to good quality, I don't know, talk, and it's one of the reasons why I start using AI tools for generate podcast, because I feel I'm not so ready to do this my own, because I still have a lot of like mistakes when I'm speaking, and also maybe I need some more practice when more like more live session, when I more freely talk with people and keep conversation like go on and interesting. Yeah, I try to now I just like to some kind of practice what I do before maybe when I really write my own podcast. I tried the first episode, but it's looked very boring and not so very happy about this. Okay, you mean I very often like to lock when I open the room, but I'm not leaving Hello Talk room after. Okay, in other words, you mean I should be locked like that I'm started talk and restart the voice room and it should be appear more. Okay, okay, I will think about this and maybe I will try. Hey, hello, how are you? If you want to talk about book, just raise your hand. I will add you to conversation here. Here we talk about books and all topics what related or sometimes not related to books. If you want just talk, just raise your hand too. Okay, about like to enter the room twice, I will try to maybe next time, because I see when I started the voice room and maybe in first like 5 minutes no one appears, and just after 5 minutes some people start appear in the voice room, and sometimes they start appear in almost immediately like 5 people in the same time, but in the first like 5 minutes no one appear. It's some little strange. Okay, I just try to restart the voice room and you can just join. Okay, I will restart if you no one joined the conversation now. Hey, hello. And yeah, hello. If you want to talk, just raise your hand and I will add you to conversation. Or if you want, you can just like to write question here, and it will be interesting to know what I reading in current moment, what book I reading. I can share some. Okay, let's go. We have one request to join. Let's go. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Yeah, I'm fine too, thanks. And first question I like to ask, what book are you reading in current moment?
At the moment, I'm reading the book of the Let Them Theory. Guys are reading here in this.
Okay, I not like to heard well last. Can you type name of book here in chat? Because I like to find some information about book. It will be nice if you type name of book what are you reading here in the chat. If you talk about me, now I am reading book that has name The Earth Sea by Ursula Le Guin. It's some kind of fantasy. It's very nice. I very like the style, her style, and yeah, I think it's a very excellent book. And this is you feel quality of this book is from first pages. And before I not so very like to fantasy genre, but now I think it's a very good book, because it's not just like to fit for genre. It's this book look like outside of the genre and contain a lot of like senses inside. Do you like some kind of fantasy? Okay, maybe some problems with this connection. Okay, we just wait. Just tell some word to be sure you hear me. Okay. Okay, we just like to wait, and I just let you back for topic what we discussed. It's great content. It's not some simple thing, and it's very time consuming. If you want to create something more bigger than just to start the stream, if you want to prepare some episodes and information, it's required a lot of looking for information and to prepare it and publish just on different platform, and it's really time consuming activity. But in the same time, I'm very happy about current state of artificial intelligence development, and in reality I can do almost all stuff my related to podcast by alone. I don't need to ask some designer to create the image for thumbnails. I just to use AI tools and generate what I want. And if you need to prepare the script, I very often ask help to reformulate and write the correct words and sentences. If you want to find the information, you do the same. And now you don't need to a lot of very expensive camera. You can use laptop camera, microphone, and some free tools just for recording and for stream. And in this, it's some very excellent thing about to podcasting and to streaming for current moment. You can do a lot of stuff by own, and in the same time it's very useful, and you can to save a lot of time, money. But in the same time, in a lot of people who do this stuff before, and they in reality they lose the job, because many people just start doing the same thing by their own. And I have the same feeling for my profession now. And in reality, if you want to create some mobile application, you don't need a lot of developers to do this now. You just won't be a solo developer and create the almost all infrastructure for this by your own, and exactly with help of some AI tools. And in this case, we don't need a lot of developers for current moment. But in the same time, you possibly be a solo developer and build your own product. Yeah, and it's mean AI tools. It's very made a very big impact on our current world, and many professions just to change and shift from one from stable state to something unpredictable and unexpected. I don't know how to explain state. And yeah, but in reality, all many professions what I mentioned before, it's not appeared 50 years ago, and it's not was here 50 years ago. It just appeared with when internet start more popular, but 20 or 30 years ago. But now it start to disappear and transformed to just for tools. In other words, some kind of profession just totally transformed to tools and quality of this tool just will be, I think, increase. Yeah, in reality we don't need to a lot of big teams. You should be just one alone and build your own content what you want. And this is a very amazing thing. I have the I think I have the almost the same feeling when I just start profession of as developer. I was very surprised when I built my first Android application, and I feel it's very satisfied because I really built something my own, like to hand. Now almost the same. I possible tell about like to create it like a channel. You possibly do almost the same, build something your own, and this it will be visible for anyone in this planet. Yeah, and as in my first application was terrible and bad written, as I think is the same happened with the content when you try to do this. It's sometimes terrible and ugly, but it's some good start point to improve. You should just be like to practice, do this every day, and quality just increase. It's some kind of profession. Yeah, it's some very interesting, and you possibly like to realize your ideas what you have before. Yeah, it's just like my speech about topics what I worried maybe last year, maybe last 2 years, when AI tools appears in this scene and change our life. Okay, we still waiting when someone join, and I think I should be ended this session because not one joined to us today. Yeah, I just check something, and if you not one join, I will be ended. Okay. Yeah. I can just like to share one idea what I want to realize in maybe in the nearest future. Try to make some kind of interviews in other people when just two of us with like video connection just talk about books and discuss about like question related to books. And it's not should be some like to very well-known person, and maybe just like to regular or some regular like to person as me, just sit and talk about books, and it's some kind of interview. I want to try to this like a format of content. Yeah, it's my idea what I want to try to realize, because some interesting not just talk about book, but talk about book in perspective, like to the person, what like to his like to life experience, the like to life history, some maybe biography, because I think it's every person invaluable. It's sometimes very interesting to know how people and person just reach the common point of in her life. Yeah, I have this idea and I want to try to realize it, and I think about this. Okay, yeah, it's my idea for the future. Okay, I will complete today's sessions. Thank for thank for this point. I think about this, and because very often when I listen podcasts, I very like podcasts, and especially about like software development, and one of my favorite is I can just send the link on the podcast. It's just a second. I find. Yeah, I send here. It's one of my favorite. It's like to released every week and in Friday. And in this podcast, it's Quincy just every week talked with one of the developer, and it's almost like 1 or 2 hours talk with another developer, and she not just talk about technical stuff. They more focusing to person life, person experience, how they reach this current point of in his career, what he or she learned. And it's very 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 live podcast, and you feel it's not edited, not to cut it some piece of to silence or some noisy, and it's I very like because it's a person-centric podcast, and it's people is the most of focus on this podcast, not technology. Technology is second, but person and how person learn and study to reach this point. It's some very important, and it's one of the point why I like this podcast, because it's person centric, and I want to do something like this and just make some real conversation, what help to to show understand life experience of another person in retrospective, or in reflection of book or relationship with books. Yeah, it's point. Okay, thank for this feedback. I will be continue think about it and continue practice to try this new format. And I first of all I need to find the person with whom I will speak about book, to interview. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You want to join? Let's go. Hey, hello.
Hello, Johanny.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I listened to what you were saying, and I agree with you. Yeah, it's completely understandable. And just to get myself clear, what you're trying to do is you're trying to host a podcast, and you're trying to find yourself a co-host. Did I get you right, or is it something else?
Uh, and first I want to like to create the podcast, and I want to be like to host, but now I have some struggle to make maybe some good content for podcast, because very often it's some like to very I think like some problem with my language when I speak, and also maybe it's not so interesting, sometimes it's boring, and it's why I decided to try to use the AI tools for like to create some episodes. But in the same time I still just like to practice like to live session streaming to be more confident, and in some points maybe I just turn and start like to host this podcast my own. And yeah.
Right. I mean, this is interesting. And what do you generally prefer the theme of your podcast to be like? I
uh,
mean, do you want the co-host to ask you questions, or are you the one who's gonna ask questions? And what's gonna be the theme of that discussion? Are you guys normally gonna be discussing books or philosophy? Like, what are the subjects that you would say?
yeah, it's good point, because it's very important to decide and clarify the like to format and of podcast. Now it's like a general idea about like books, and in context of like to interview, when two people are present and talk about books in podcast, what I described before, it's maybe just talk about like a person, they like to live, and what his like favorite books, what I don't know, what favorite genre, and some maybe his like suggestions about book, and at the same time ask some question about like related to books, what I don't know, they prefer to like a movie based on the book or something like this. Yeah, I not decided yet. Is I think it's in searching of this of this topic, and yeah, and I think it's all these like activities, it's some kind of like practice, and try to find like right format and right topics for discussion, because I think a lot of like books podcasts exist in current moment, and I want to find something what like to resonate for me, to it will be interesting for me. Sorry, it's maybe not so very clear to answer any question. Yeah,
Right.
but I just let you looking for.
No. It's clear. I mean, I do understand what you said, and you know, I've I've been joining your rooms very frequently because I I really enjoy listening to you. I'll enjoy participating in your rooms. I think that you are a good communicator. You know, I think you know how to deliver your message, and uh, you know, I think you're the kind of person who wouldn't necessarily need a co-host. You know, you're the kind of person who would be able to take the conversation ahead all by yourself. And also, you know, your pace is very balanced. You don't speak too fast, you don't speak too slow. You're like the perfect pace. You take your pauses. You're sometimes while you're talking, you prefer to be silent at times, and then sometimes you prefer to speak. So your style of communication is, I think, I think your self communication would be more preferable. I think a lot of people would love indulging in listening to you. You know, when I listen to podcasts, I like listening to podcasts that normally talk about social issues, you know, so society, cultural norms, societal norms, economics. These are the things that I like talking about. And I don't know if you have Netflix, but there's a show on Netflix which is produced by Obama, the former president of America. Uh, it's, I mean, it's a very nice show. Um, and Obama also has a podcast with Springsteen. They talk about social matters. So, anything that's got to do with people, the public, their standards of living, personal finances, jobs, lifestyle. Those are the things that I like talking about. I think different people have different areas of interest. And, it's always fun to be around you because normally when I'm in your rooms, I join in as a listener. And most of the time I'm sitting at my work desk and I just put my earplugs on and I'm just there, participating in whatever it is that you're streaming about. So it's fun, and I think it's a good hobby. I think it's a very nice hobby. I think the number of people doesn't matter. The number of people just does not matter. If that activity is bringing joy to us, and if that activity is bringing joy to you, and if it's helping one person change their life for the better, then I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I very agree with your point about person. I very often heard from another podcast and another like YouTubers who talk about development. They mention if your like content reach at least one person, it's mean you do this content. It's not waste of time because you just change it some his life, and and I think it's very like important just like to focus and maybe do from one person. And and also you mentioned about like Barack Obama podcast and series. I think you mentioned before about like Renegades, his podcast, and I found in Netflix American Factory. Is it correct series what you mentioned?
Okay, so American Factory is one of the short films that's produced by Obama. But the one that I'm talking about is a different one. Renegades is the name of the podcast, which is not on Netflix, it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
And Renegades is a very interesting podcast. They talk about societal issues. The show that I'm referring to, which is on Netflix, is called Working.
Okay, I see.
So Working is really nice, and it's those are the kinds of shows that I shows and podcasts and content that I like to engage in because it talks about people, and people are the essence of society. So it means a lot. I mean, it means a lot listening to the stories of people and where they're coming from and where they're going in life, and how the current political and economic circumstances are facilitating their goals, or perhaps, being a hurdle in them. All of that is just very much interesting.
Yeah, I find what you mentioned. Yeah, I found this. I added to later for watching. And next time we discuss about this. Yeah, but I heard some episodes of Renegades, and it sounds very quiet, like very American, like podcast, when two American fellows start talk about like to scene, and if you listen outside of the like to USA, it's some very complicated to like to clear understand the context. Yeah, I just listened like to some serial last episodes, and yeah, I like how they like to build this conversation, like to normal conversation between two friends. They discuss some topics. Yeah, but sometimes I feel out of the context. And also I want to tell thank for your feedback. It's very nice. I'm very happy that someone like to value my what I do, and I just think about how to do this more better. Yeah, thank for this feedback too. And yeah, and I just like to think about this some several times, and what I mentioned before, I planned to some kind of interview with another person in the podcast or on some kind of stream, and I think about your person for this conversation. Did you it will be interesting for you to make this kind of conversation when we just together sit and talk about maybe your life, your preference, your interest, your favorite movies, books, and your vision on the current world. It will be interesting for you.
I think, I'm the kind of person who normally likes to ask good questions,
Okay.
and then I'm more of a listener, kind of like a journalist who would bring the right questions and then let the other person express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I see your point. Okay.
I mean,
I
yeah.
I yeah.
I think if I would have, if we're having a certain kind of discussion, my goal would be to bring in the right kind of questions, and then let the person sitting in front of me be expressive, because, the way I prefer is I normally speak only 10% of the time, and I'd let the others speak more than I do. And because, even if I'm co-hosting a podcast with someone, I think I would just let my co-host talk a little more than I would. But yeah, so different people have a different style. Some people are listeners, some people are effective verbal communicators. And it's not that I cannot speak verbally, of course I could do that, but I do that in certain contexts. I do that in certain themes, where I know that I can be overly expressive about myself. So, yes, it would be nice to. I'm not rejecting the idea of answering questions about myself. Of course, I can do that. I would be happy to. Yeah, it's not a problem. But most of the time, I would prefer listening, and my listening would be around 10% as compared to the 90% of the talking, which will mostly be done by the other person in front of him.
Yeah, it sounds like to challenge for your co-hoster. If you just prefer to more ask than speak, it's very important for your co-hoster just like to prepare well interesting question for you and like to motivate you to speak. Okay, it's nice. I just like to keep in mind. I think I try to just like to improve my like to speaking skills and conversation, and maybe create some like to interviews with another people, and after I want to be back for you and talk you like to separately on some episodes. Yeah, it's just some kind of motivation to me, like to build my skills and be ready to talk with you and to motivate you to talk more than just ask the question.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, I don't really need to be motivated because I am a good communicator. I know how to communicate. You know, sometimes I mean, I don't know if you know about this, but I host my voice rooms every day, and you know, um, I would normally tend to choose my mode of communication depending on the person that I'm interacting with. But when I'm interacting with you specifically, I prefer listening more because, you know, when I come into your rooms, it's not that I have uh, social anxiety or, you know, or anything like that. I'm not nervous at all. I can communicate, I can engage with people. I'm not an introvert, I'm an extroverted person. But, you know, with you specifically, just listening to your stories and listening to your content is very good, and it's fun at times, and I wouldn't deny that. So that's the reason I said that I would only prefer 10% of my time to be spent on listening rather than talking. And I know today I'm talking too much, but I think you know this for a fact that whenever I come into rooms, I only sit down there in the basement and I listen to you. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I know it, and it's just like for additional motivation, no motivation, just explanation. When I see you in the voice room, sometimes I think, okay, maybe you just like to have a work and you listen some in background, not like to focus it, but now you more clear explain your reason why you stay here. And yeah, I just like to keep in mind this, and next time when I will see you here, I just like to more focus it on like to talk and just talk something for you, especially if you just empty room. Yeah, okay, thanks for this.
You know, the thing is, when you know, I talk too much. You know, and I think it's a good thing to talk and express yourself. I do open up my voice rooms. You know, even at work, I do engage with people. I interact, and I'm quite an effective communicator. But sometimes, and I don't know if you ever come into my room, you would know about it. You would know what I'm talking about, because you know, if you heard me talk, you would hear me talk in my rooms. And but despite the fact that despite me being a good communicator, sometimes I need a break, and I need another good communicator who I can then listen to you know, learn from, and to you know, feel the essence of being a listener. Because you know, being a listener is fun, and I don't get to do that quite frequently, because when I talk on any given subject, I keep going on, and you would know that if you ever came into my rooms. Um, but you know, I think it needs to be a fine balance. So that's the reason when I come into your rooms, I feel like, okay, uh, I am now in a podcast where I don't have to talk too much, and I can talk minimally while, you know, going through the whole experience. Alternatively, when I'm with other people or maybe in my own hosted rooms, I'd have to do the opposite. So it basically depends on the theme, on the person you're with, on the kind of podcast that you're on the kind of rooms that you're in. So yeah, I think that's how it is.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, yeah, in really is, yeah, sometimes. And when you like to moderate the voice room, you should be just focus on the voice room to engage the people. And it's really like some kind of job, and you should be like to focus it. And if you like to 2 or 3 people join, and you should be just manage the conversation to make like to more comfortable for all. And it's not like to for enjoy the process, it's just more about like to work. Yeah, and I see your point when you join just for listening and don't care about like to how is going on, just like to enjoy. Yeah, I see your point. Thank for this sharing. It's like to more clarify. And also I want to tell, I not so very often participate in your voice room, but I think you're so very popular. A lot of people join your voice room and like to appreciate to talk with you. Okay, I think we can just like to summarize our talk. I will keep you on the mind and about like to my suggestion to talk like to some like to podcasts, like to interview in the future. And when I feel like more comfortable and have more experience with this, I will like to reach you and tell more details about this. Yeah, I will keep in the mind about this. And yeah, I'm going to end for today. Thank for like to participate here. Thank for join. And thank for talk, because I slightly in the end I was slightly disappointed because no one joined, and sometimes it's complicated to talk by alone if you start the live session, because I appreciate more talk with people, because it's more simple to keep like to stream, and live session is like to interesting. And yeah, I like to push people to make the content and to make and express their ideas, their visions, because when I talks like to solo and just express my thoughts, it's sometimes I repeated ideas from one to another session. But when I discuss with another like to person, and very often I feel like to my thoughts move forward, and okay, this person just mentioned some very interesting idea, okay, and I start thinking about this. Yeah, and this is one of the moments what motivate me, because every time when you talk, you find something interesting, especially when you talk with like different people in the same time. Yeah, because when you speak alone, it's some kind of just like to repetition of your idea, what you have. But discussion and conversation is good point for move forward. Yeah, and I very like to happy you join today, and we move forward together in some step forward. Yeah, and it's more like to now more about each other, I think. Yeah, thank for joining.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, honey. And also, you know, I remember that we're connected on Instagram. That's a good thing, you know. Um, we exchanged Instagram earlier, and I think I proposed this idea because Hello Talk at the end of the day is a singular platform, and I think it would have been a good idea for us to broaden our connection beyond this platform, which we already did. Uh, and Yeah, so the feelings mutual and the pleasure is all mine. And just as always, you expect me to keep coming in and participating in your rooms as a listener, and it's always fun being here. Yeah. So normally when I'm listening, I'm focused on what you're saying, but also I'm multitasking at times. I'm just probably working on my laptop, or maybe you know um, at work, uh, but I'm equally engaged in the discussion. I'm actively participating in there. So yeah, uh, right now I was not working. Like today, I was not working, and I just came into the room, so I just thought of coming up and talking to you and participating directly. But yeah, we'll definitely continue to catch up and share the stage, share the rooms together, and um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree, and thanks for these words and some explanation. Yeah. Okay, it's time to end for today. Thank for your time, and see you next time here or in your voice room on any another place where you like to connect it.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, Johanny.
Yeah,
We'll talk
you
soon.
too, and see you. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Okay, I think it's time for end for today. It's some was a very interesting talk with one of my like oldest flight followers, and yeah, I'm very happy to hear some words from him, and it just motivated me to do more in this direction. And I just noticed, if you share your feedback, just write the comments and any platform where you find this content. Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, and put the like. And yeah, take care, and see you next time in Bookshelf Babble live session. Bye.
Flip the pages, hear the sound of time. Stories weaving words that climb. Whispered tales in a cozy nook. Welcome to the magic